My name is Mark Maurer, and today is June 26th. The government has more power over your private property than you realize. Not only can they tax it, they can also seize it if they deem it fit for public use. In 1998, between 1998 and 2002, more than 10,000 properties were seized across 41 states. So today I just want to give you a background of what eminent domain is and how it's used. So what is eminent domain? According to Jack Nichols in his article Eminent Domain is the power to take private property without consent of the property owner. And the power to do that, according to Richard Epstein in his book called Takings, Private Property and the Power of Eminent Domain, this power is vested in federal, state, and local governments and any other authorized individual that wants to seize your property. Now, while the government can take your property, you still have due process. So according to William Stobeck in his paper called General Theory of Eminent Domain, you can still go to court for your property. They can't just take it and leave you empty-handed. You do have individual rights. So you can appeal it, and if you lose, they can still take your property. So what is this property used for? According to Patricia Munch in her essay, Economic Analysis of Eminent Domain, the government takes a property for public or civic use, such as highways, railroads, or any other public interest that they see fit for. Here's a little illustration of eminent domain. It's the Supreme Court is the wrecking ball, and they're destroying a private property house. So, Zhu Dawei, in a paper called A Comparative Review of Eminent Domain in the USA and China, found that over 40 million Chinese families were victimized by eminent domain abuse. Now, in China, they don't have as many individual rights as we do, so when the government seizes their property, they're either underpaid for it, for what is not as much as it's worth, or left with no money at all. So they often go homeless because they can't afford a new place to live. And Dawei also found that eminent domain abuse was prevalent in other countries as well. And activist groups such as the Castle Coalitions are advocates for individual rights for private property, and they protect from eminent domain. And so far they've prevented 21 projects from destroying neighborhoods and different communities through eminent domain abuse. Here's another comic. Supreme Court judge riding on a wrecking ball, smashing through somebody's house, and he says, "Life, liberty, and pursuit of tax revenue." A little bit of legal background of eminent domain. Eminent domain abuse used to be a problem, but because of the landmark case in 2004, Kelo versus the City of New London, the City of New London seized a bunch of private property and then sold it to private developers so they could build apartments. And obviously this outraged the homeowners, and they sued the city, and they lost. And the result is it called for a reform of eminent domain law. So in 2008, the Castle Coalition then evaluated 43 states to get an idea of how the states have changed their laws since the Kelo case. And they generated these report cards, one for each state, and it was on a scale of A plus to D minus. And an A plus meant that it was hard for the government to seize your property, and a D minus meant it was easy for them to take your property. And the purpose of these was really to give state legislators and public officials an idea of what their current laws were for eminent domain and how to improve them. And as you can see, South Carolina received B+, thankfully. And here's another comic. Sorry about losing your home, but now everybody has a luxury resort to live in, but the family doesn't look too happy about that. In South Carolina specifically, Senator Chip Campson pushed for an amendment in 2006 that for eminent domain to work, the condemned property had to be a danger to public health or safety. And this was a huge step forward in removing people's opinions from the picture and actually having to put on paper that the residence or whatever was dangerous. 85% of South Carolinians approved of this, and it prohibits government from taking private property for the use of eminent for economic gain unless it had genuine public purpose. And this amendment gave our state some of the best protection from eminent domain abuse because, like I said, instead of the property just being condemned on an opinion, it had to be proven. So if it had fungi or asbestos or something that was dangerous, it had to be on paper, not just somebody's opinion. And it also protected businesses, farms, and churches, not just homeowners, because it's private property as well. In summary, eminent domain can definitely be beneficial, and there are good reasons for it, but sadly, it's abused more often than not. But since the Keogh case in 2004, the laws have changed substantially. In my opinion, we could further prevent eminent domain abuse by having third-party regulation from some private corporation or business, or a government department for checks and balances. So, thanks.